The next lot that went under the hammer is in Kent, surrounded by a selection of different property styles.
Ramsgate on the Isle of Thanet in Kent. There's a real positive feeling about stuff that's going on here. There's a new high-speed rail link into London and a lot of property refurbishment going on, which is great news because this is where the property that's up for auction is located. Right there.
It's the left-hand building of these 3 terrace properties.
Well, this isn't a very good start. Security fencing. But to be fair, the auction catalogue does say that the property is derelict. In fact, it goes on to say that no internal survey has been carried out, so they don't even know how many bedrooms it is. But, I mean, how bad can it be? Intrepid Roberts will explore. Come on. You know what? It would be foolhardy Roberts who went in there. That property is a complete disaster. I don't know, you walk through the door and immediately the floors collapse, the stairways all over the place, the door frames look like they're about... That is a structural nightmare.
There's no floor in the lounge, and further up in the building, they've also collapsed. You can see from the basement up to the roof. Peering in from the front door is as far as we dare go.
But sometimes it pays to take a step back, literally, from the property to get an even better idea of exactly what is going on. And if you come across to the other side of the road from where the property is, you can see you do not have to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist to figure out that that property is completely shot. Look at the sort of black line across the middle. That's supposed to be straight, but it's broken. It's almost like the back of this property has broken. Look at the windows. They're all skew-whiff. Look at the lintels above the windows. They're cracked, they're at strange angles, go up even further to the roof. You've got more cracks, you've got more windows falling in. I mean, to be fair, that house is completely shot.
The guide price of £120,000 to £125,000 might have sounded appealing on auction day, but I just hope the bidders have done their homework. I invited a local agent around to give us her thoughts on this dilapidated Ramsgate property.
It doesn't take a great deal of experience to know that this property has got huge, huge structural problems. There's bad and there's derelict, and this really is completely derelict.
But before we completely write off this place, there is a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. This tumble-down building went to auction with planning permission for 3 flats, and that potentially could mean profits.
I think for a resale on this property, if you were to convert it into 3 one-bedroom flats, you'd be looking at about £105,000 per unit.
So, based on a guide price of £120,000 to £125,000, there's a potential gross profit of £170,000. But making this place safe and doing the conversion could cost a fortune.
Bit of a weekend DIY job, really, isn't it? Realistically, though, 120 to 125,000 quid, is this property worth it? Well, it has got the planning permission for those flats, but you are going to have to spend a heck of a lot of money to get this place up to scratch, and don't underestimate it, it's a massive job. Let's go to the auction.
We move to Ramsgate, to number 2 Richmond Road. It's lot 86. It's a 3-storey end-of-terrace building. Total refurbishment required, perhaps redevelopment, conversion, etc., etc. It's guided at 120, 125. What may I say? Start bid 120,000. 110. 110 I'm bid at £110,000 I have. 112 do I see? 112 is bid. And 114. 114. And 116. And 180. At £118,000 I'm bid. 120 do I see? 120 I have. At £120,000 I'm bid. 122. 124 for anyone else? Well, I'm selling 124 at the back. 126 and 128 and 130. 130 is bid. 132. 132 I have. 134. 134 and 136 and 138 and 140 140 is bid. 142. 144, no. At 142,000 then, are you quite sure? Because I'm selling for the first time at 142,000. Selling for the second time at 142,000. Selling for the third and final time at 142,000. Are you quite sure? Sold at 142,000.
That brave purchaser of the derelict Ramsgate end of terrace was Alex, who paid £142,000. He's a full-time developer from London, but more importantly, he used to be a surveyor. Maybe he knows some demolition contractors. I reckon he's going to need them.
Alex, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You are either very experienced, very adventurous, or very rich, or maybe all three. This is a very interesting project, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Tell me why you wanted to buy this place.
Well, we looked at Ramsgate. It's quite undervalued as an area. We've got a new train line coming in here. We've done stuff in London, and I think this seems sort of quite a good area to invest in at the moment.
OK, did you look at the property before you bought it?
We did, briefly.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and what did you think?
In a bad state.
Right.
Needs a lot of work.
Right.
but has potential.
OK.
Yeah.
Now, how much experience have you got?
Basically, we've got some properties in London, investment properties and stuff that we've refurbished over the years. Something as magnitude as this. This is quite a rundown state. And my brother's a structural engineer, and he...
Your brother's a structural engineer?
He is.
Did he see it before you bought it?
He hasn't, no.
Oh, I mean, yeah. What?
Yeah, he's coming down next week to do a survey.
Is he?
He is.
Next week?
Yes.
After you've bought it?
Yeah.
Why on earth didn't you get your brother here beforehand?
He's a busy man.
Oh.
I can't wait to find out what his brother Leon thinks of Alex's purchase. This place could prove to be a money pit, and it's getting worse.
I think the council have condemned the building.
Have they?
Apparently so, because I think there's a few bit of work that needs to be done quite soon.
It's actually been condemned?
I think so, yeah. We only found that out last week.
Now, what do you think your brother's going to say when he comes down?
Problems. But he's seen the pictures, so we'll have to wait and see.
Whose money was it, by the way?
It's both of us.
Oh, was it? OK.
It was.
So it's 50% his money?
It is, yeah.
Is in this?
Yeah.
You're very close, are you?
We are, yeah. At the moment. At the moment.
Well, they've gone halves on the project, and Alex's brother's structural expertise could prove critical in making this investment work. The brothers paid £142,000 at auction and aim to spend a further £150,000 on the renovation. And Alex has another ace up his sleeve.
Joking apart,
Yeah.
if you can restore it, and when you can restore everything.
Yeah.
It's all about cost, isn't it?
It is.
There is money to be made if you can get those 3 flats out of it.
It is, and we might actually try for 4 flats to kind of obviously get a bit more lucrative return. But we've got to talk to the council the next few weeks and see what they recommend on that.
And how would you get 4 flats in there?
There's a basement.
OK.
They have applied for permission.
I think you can see through to the basement from the first floor.
You
can't
can,
you?
yes.
Down the huge gaping hole.
That's right.
Well, if the basement can be converted into the 4th flat and Alex obtains planning permission, it could generate more income, with 4 flats to sell rather than 3. But to stand any chance with the planners, it requires some negotiation with the neighbouring property.
Basically, the lady next door owns a part of this land, so we've got to try and negotiate possibly purchasing this from her. That could sway the planning permission to get the 4th flat in here, basically.
So you're looking to buy some of the land off the next door neighbour?
That's right, yeah.
OK. Does she know how important it is that you get it?
She's got an idea, I think, but yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I admire your courage.
Indeed, thank you.
And you have got a challenge ahead, but I know you appreciate that.
Indeed.
Well done, Alex.
Okay, cheers.
Well, you've got to admire Alex's cheery optimism. Most people would be terrified to take on a property like this, and it appears the gods are on his side as well. As we were chatting, a representative from the council arrived with an offer you don't get every day. Apparently, Ramsgate Council has money to give away at an amazing rate of interest. I had to find out more.
So, Mike, tell me about this initiative.
OK, empty property owners can come to us. They can fund all sorts of renovation works, from the structure of the building to the internal fittings, and we will forward interest-free loans to cover the cost of the works, up to a maximum of £25,000 per dwelling.
So in terms of this place,
If this building was to be turned into flats, it would be £25,000 per flat.
so potentially £75,000 interest-free loan for this place.
Absolutely.
You're like a knight in shining armour, aren't you?
The council's very, very keen to work with owners to bring the area up, to address issues of dereliction like this, the blight that it brings to communities.
and actually just provide housing as well.
Absolutely right, yes. Yeah.
Are there any tie-ins to the person who's getting the loan out? Do they have to promise to keep the property for a certain period of time or whatever?
If the property is to be renovated and sold on, the loan's repayable immediately. If it's to be renovated and let, then the loan reperiod's longer.
This is a fantastic scheme, isn't it?
So it's the only one in the country at the moment.
What's that noise? Ah, a stampede of buyers heading to Ramsgate, I hear. If Alex and Leon choose to take up the council's offer of interest-free money, it might just make this project work.
Well, let's face it, all joking apart, Alex did take a huge gamble when he bought this place. And then the cloud that's been hovering over this property turns out to have a silver lining in the shape of the council and an interest-free loan to do it up. Well, it's good news, but there's no underestimating the amount of effort, time and money it's going to take to get this place back into habitable form. How is Alex going to get on? Find out later in the show.
The plans and dreams seemed good at the time,